Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Triple Threat Show. I am your host, Jeremy Hayes. Today is a beautiful Wednesday, February 18th. I hope everybody is having a great morning. We have so much to get into today. It is, of course, the off season in the NFL, but not really for long. The off season and the NFL as a whole never really rests. It never stops. It keeps going. There's always more. So today on the Triple Threat Show, we are here with our first of, I believe, 3 NFL mock drafts. We do one after the Super Bowl. We do one after the first round of free agency ends, and we do one the day before the draft. This is mock draft 1.0. We'll take you through all 32 teams. I will say 100% this list will change. This list will not be 100% accurate, but we will go through my reasonings for each and every single one of them. Then we will continue our Olympic coverage as we have for the entire Olympics. It's winding down. Where does the U.S. stand in the medal count? How can we move up the leaderboard? How close are we to first place overall? What events are today? I will get you through all of that so you know when, where, and how to tune in for the U.S. and the rest of the Olympic Games. But let's start off the show with those mock drafts. Look, this is the big story of the day. We're going to spend the majority of the show here with the mock draft, but this is important because the NFL draft is the most important draft because the NFL is the most important league. I don't know if you could tell that based on all the jerseys in the background behind me, but we got 3 NFL, 1 MLB. Kind of skews a little bit more towards one league than the rest of them. But let's get into it. The number 1 overall pick is pretty simple, and I'll show you the entire list here. This is the entire mock draft. We'll go through one by one. But number 1 is going to be Fernando Mendoza. I don't think this list, this selection, I should say, really needs to be explained that thoroughly, right? Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 quarterback in this draft. He's really the only quarterback that I think would be worth drafting at that number 1 overall spot. The Heisman winner, the guy who led Indiana to their first ever national title, the guy that led Indiana out of the basements historically of the Power 4 level football programs. Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick. This has been predestined. This has been written in stone for the last month or so. Fernando Mendoza, you are a Las Vegas Raider. Congratulations. Now, after this pick, it gets really, really interesting because let me tell you, there is not a single guarantee after spot number 1. After spot number 1 goes down, there is only one team. After this entire first round, there's only one spot that I feel comfortable locking it in, lock it in style, saying that this is going to be their pick. So the rest of these, I will accept your criticisms on. But look, the Jets are up next. And I have the Jets selecting out of Ohio State safety, Caleb Downs. Now, Caleb Downs, I think, is a really intriguing person to watch in this draft. Now, the reason that I say that, as you can see Caleb Downs going 2nd overall, the reason that I say Caleb Downs should go 2nd is simply because he's the best player available. And the Jets are not in a position to be picky. I know everybody wants them to go out and get a quarterback. I know everybody wants the Jets to go out and be that team that is aggressive, but they've got another first-round pick. They can address those needs later. You go out and you get the best player available on the board, a guy that can legitimately change your defense, a guy that can play like Kyle Hamilton does, who I think has a right to claim that he is the 3rd best defensive player in the world right now, only behind Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. That is how good of a player Kyle Hamilton is. And Caleb Downs can play much the same style, can play much the same way. We've seen the impact guys like him and Nick Emmanwori have had out on these defenses. So Caleb Downs goes 2nd overall. He's the best overall player in this entire draft in my mind. At number 3, the Cardinals select edge rusher Rueben Bain Jr. Again, best available in my mind. I love Rueben Bain. I understand he's been slipping a little bit further than 3 on a lot of the consensus draft boards here. But when you take a look at what Rueben Bain can do as a pass rusher, he just comes in as a game wrecker consistently. Him and his partner, who we'll get to later on in the draft, Akeem Mesidor, should both go in the first round. I don't know about both top 10, but Rueben Bain, the best player available. Those are the top 3 players, top two defensive players in the draft. And right now, I think the Cardinals could really use some pass rush as well. At 4, again, this is another spot where it gets interesting. The Tennessee Titans are up. And normally, you don't draft safeties and running backs in the first couple picks in the top 10 because positional value, right? That historically has been why a lot of these positions fall. But I think that's dumb. In a draft where there isn't necessarily an elite talent out there, a draft where there isn't necessarily a no-brainer, you have to get this tackle out there, I like the Titans getting Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. They need a running back. I understand they've got Tony Pollard. I understand that they have Tyjae Spears, but you can't look me in the eyes and tell me that you seriously are comfortable with those two as your lead backs going forward. Brian Daboll is the new offensive coordinator. We've seen him have success with quarterbacks that have good running backs, right? Or quarterbacks that can run. And I understand Cam Ward has a little bit of scramblability, but it would certainly help that team to get a game record like Jeremiah Love. Does he go this high in the real world? Probably not, but I really like this fit, and I think at number 4, the Titans could really use that Derrick Henry replacement that they've been looking for the last 3 seasons now. This is what we are looking for. Jeremiah Love to the Titans at number 4. At number 5, we are switching over to the New York Giants. The New York Giants, they could go a lot of different ways here. At this point in the draft, I think best available leads you to another defensive player, like a David Bailey kind of situation. But the Giants don't really need more edge rushers. In fact, they're overfilled on edge rushers, so much so that there's rumors that they might trade a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux, who is coming off of his best season of his career. Instead, I have them going on the offensive side of the ball, going for the best wide receiver in this draft, a guy that they can put opposite of one Malik Nabers. That is Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, he goes at number 5 to the New York Giants. I'm a big fan of this one. They desperately need help for Malik Nabers. They desperately need help. Another weapon on the outside for second-year quarterback now, Jackson Dart, as they look to move forward with the guy that they traded up last year's draft to go out and get. At number 6, the Browns. Look, I know they need a wide receiver. I know they do. And maybe they take a guy like Mekhi Lemon here. Maybe they take a guy like Jordan Tyson here. Maybe they swing big for a wide receiver. But again, at number 6, when you have another first-round pick coming up, I know it's a little bit later in the draft, but I can't pass up David Bailey. David Bailey is a fascinating edge rusher for me. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. He is a guy that I think you need to go out and get if you are a Cleveland Browns team, maybe to just take some pressure off of Myles Garrett. Get some guys that can rush the passer on the other side, because right now they're double, triple teaming him, and he's still getting through. Imagine if they were only single or double teaming him. Or imagine what a elite edge rusher on the other side could do when the teams are giving so much attention to a Myles Garrett. I absolutely love this opportunity for the Browns. Shore up that. I know they need offense, guys. I know they do need offense, and they'll get offense in the free agent pool. They'll get offense when it comes to later picks. But right now, take the edge rusher that's the best available, and that is David Bailey. At number 7, Sonny Styles goes to the Washington Commanders out of Ohio State. Sonny Styles, one of 2 linebackers that are expected to go. I just love his ability as a versatile defender. His ability to get around the field, his ability to move around the field make tackles. He doesn't miss those. Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, yeah, I think the second best or the best linebacker in this class. And the Washington Commanders, they desperately need some help defensively, especially on the front seven with a guy that can rush the passer, play some defense, get that green dot, replace a guy in Bobby Wagner who, even if he's back, should not be playing 100% of the snaps like he did last year. And number 8, the Saints invest in offense. They go and they get Makai Lemon. They're trying to build around new head coach Kellen Moore, who looked like he was building something. A wide receiver opposite of Chris Olave, someone that can they can run every single route out of USC. Makai Lemon is going to be a big get for the Saints here. I love his opportunity to play in an offense run by Kellen Moore. That is going to be the key. At number 9, this is where the first tackle goes off the board. And maybe this is a little bit low for a tackle because Spencer Fanu, a guy that I really like, is expected to go as high as number 3 to the Cardinals. But I've got the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. They need a tackle bad, right? We thought they addressed it in the offseason. It clearly wasn't enough. The quarterbacks were still under pressure. I am not sold, and I'm blanking on his name right now, on the offensive lineman that seemingly jumps on every single play. But that is the guy that I think they need to replace. And I think they need to replace him in the worst way. I just don't trust him to protect when you have to take those massive jumps, when you have to go false start on every single play. That is not a guy you want. I want Francis Mauigoa, and that is where the Chiefs go here. I could see them going tight end potentially, but it feels a little high for them to take a tight end. I think you'll be able to get a solid one later on in the draft. And that leaves the Bengals at number 10 with those top 10 picks. Arvell Reese falls to them there, and oh my God, if they get a guy in Arvell Reese that some people are projecting to go second overall to the Jets. Now, I'm not as gung-ho on Reese here. I think he's a guy that is great, no doubt about it. But he is a guy at the same time that I don't think has the same versatility as his teammate in Sonny Styles. He doesn't have the same ability in pass coverage as Styles does. I think Arvell Reese is a guy that can play traditional linebacker, can rush the passer, is a really good run defender. I just don't see him playing that, Mike position, getting that green dot and being that versatile do-it-all guy as much as I can see Sonny Styles being that guy. So for all the hype he's getting, and he's great, he'll still go top 10. I just don't think he'll go as high as number 2. The Bengals get him at number 10. Moving on to the second, we'll go into a little bit less detail here. A couple corners go off the board soon here. Mansour Delane, the first corner off the board, they go to the Dolphins. The Dolphins desperately need some secondary help. If they don't get secondary help in this draft, and I know they need a lot of help in a lot of places, but secondary help, I think, is their biggest need. They need to go out and get that. They get the best corner on the board. That's Mansour Delane. At 12, the Cowboys finally get their, Micah Parsons replacement with Mansour, with Cassius Howell here out of Texas A&M. Cassius stays in the state, and again, just a really good pass rusher. That's what you need. You need a guy that's going to put pressure on the quarterback, because that makes everybody else's job on the defense immediately easier. The less that you have to cover, the easier it is to cover for, and the faster there's pressure in the quarterback's face, the more likely they are to make a mistake. It's very simple, man. The Rams are up next. This is Atlanta's pick. They draft a corner here, Jermon McCoy, arguably the best corner in the entire draft. He had some issues off the field. That's something to keep an eye on with Jermon McCoy. But the Rams need a corner. That's the weakness in their defense. They've got the pass rush. They've got the linebackers. They need a corner on the back end, and I think McCoy can absolutely be that guy, which means the Ravens get a gift fall to them at number 14 when they get Jordan Tyson, a guy that I think very well could go in the top 10, but they get their guy. That's the top 3 wide receivers off the board, and I would say those are the big 3 wide receivers in this draft. That's not to say there aren't going to be good wide receivers down the stretch. You see, I've got 2 other wide receivers going later on, those guys are guys that I'm very high on. But there's other wide receivers as well that teams could make a big swing at here. At 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, another edge rusher. Again, what makes a defense tick? Pass rush. They need pass rush, and they need it in the worst possible way. Give me Kendrick Falk out of Auburn to fix that issue. At 16, Peter Woods of Clemson. This is a game wrecker on the inside. This is the guy that you're going to have to replace the people that you traded away to the Cowboys, right? At number 2, you get Caleb Downs. At number 16, you get Peter Woods, and immediately you have replaced Sauce that you traded to the Colts, and you replace Williams that you traded to the Cowboys, right? These are huge moves for these guys. The Jets defense now shored up, or I guess back to where they were before, and they can focus now on fixing the offense. Getting to the second half of the draft, Spencer Fanu falls all the way to 17. I know the Lions have a great offensive line already, but you can't pass up a guy like that when he falls into your lap. There's a lot of other names that could go. They could get a corner, but I don't think they really need a corner. They just need their guys to stay healthy. I don't think you need to waste a first-round talent on someone that's just going to be a backup for a team that's trying to compete right now. At number 18, Avion Terrell out of Clemson. Another Clemson defender comes off here. He's a great corner. I love his ability. We'll do, again, another breakdown of these guys after the combine in another week. But this is just mock draft 1.0. Maybe we even get 3, maybe we even get 4 mock drafts as we work our way through the off season here. The Vikings' biggest weakness, again, it was their cornerbacks. They didn't really have a guy that was going to be able to make those big plays, that was going to be able to, stand up and be a ball hawk, stop those big plays down the field. I think Terrell is going to be a big piece of that. Put him on the outside, help him shut down another wide receiver. Big fan of this. This is where I go a little bit off the rails, and I'm not going to lie here. I have the Carolina Panthers selecting A&M wide receiver KC Concepcion. This one just seems fun in my head. The Panthers have a lot of holes to fill. They've got a lot of free agents, and we'll see who they end up re-signing, who they end up passing on. But the Panthers here selecting Concepcion out of A&M, he, to me, could be Tyreek Hill, or he could be Kadarius Toney, right? There's a big spectrum here. Both of those guys have been great in the league at certain points, but Kadarius Toney obviously did not last in the league. I just think you pair him up with a reigning offensive rookie of the year in T-Mac, Ted McMillan. Those are the guys that go out there and get you those underneath plays. He's going to play like a Wan'Dale Robinson who just went for 1,000 yards. I'm a big fan of guys like that. KC Concepcion goes to the Panthers at number 19. At number 20 here, I'm going to the Cowboys, and I don't care if they drafted an edge rusher already. I don't care. Give them more edge rushers. They need more edge rushers. There's never enough. They had no pass rush last year. Absolutely none. TJ Parker out of Clemson. They had linebackers that could blitz, but they didn't have edge rushers that could blitz. Give me TJ Parker out of Clemson to the Dallas Cowboys. Make up for it. This is how you do it. Make up for one Micah Parsons in the aggregate by getting 2 first-round edge players. They are going to kill it up front if they do it this way. At number 21, we hit another tackle, Caden Proctor, the big boy out of Alabama. This is where we look for him to fall. The Steelers need some help with the offensive line, and they need it bad. Caden Proctor is going to be able to provide that for them. Proctor is a guy that came in and played offense for the Crimson Tide a little bit as well. I really do like this guy as just big people mover. That is what the Pittsburgh Steelers like, and that is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get, especially if they're planning on bringing back Aaron Rodgers for another year. They need better offensive line play. They need it in the worst way. The Chargers look for a run stuffer at pick 22. They get it. The defensive tackle of Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. Again, I'm going to keep saying I love these picks. I made all these picks, so of course I love these picks. But they need a run stopper. They have, and I was really impressed by their pass rush last year. I was really impressed, especially by the way that their corners were able to play last year. Now, I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be able to be held up. But if you have a big run stopper up the middle, a guy that can stuff it, a guy that's not going to let them establish any momentum on the ground, that makes their life a whole lot easier. We saw how much Drake May was able to run through them at the playoff game, right? If they have a guy that can just plug that step up lane that Drake May was taking advantage of, that game, it looks a whole lot different. I'm taking Caden McDonald at number 22. At 23, the Eagles go back to offense. It's been a bit since offense. Kenyon Sadiq, the number 1 tight end, goes off the board. He's a fascinating talent. It seems like they're out on Dallas Goedert. But Kenyon Sadiq is athletic. He's a guy that if I had to pinpoint the next Travis Kelce in this draft, it would be him. Kenyon Sadiq is the guy that I point to for the Eagles to expand that offense. It fits that blue chip caliber guy that Howie Roseman likes to draft. Might not be from, Georgia or Alabama, but still, the Big Ten and Oregon, a team that looked really good last year, not that crazy off the beaten path for Howie Roseman. At number 24, the Browns back on the clock, and this is where they address that wide receiver position. Denzel Boston out of Washington, I think probably the consensus best wide receiver available at this point. Now, there are a couple other wide receivers I like. I like Chris Bell out of Louisville. I like the 2 Indiana wide receivers. But Denzel Boston, probably consensus the best one left. He's going to be able to be a jump ball wide receiver, someone that can get open. And I'm a big fan of just more wide receiver talent over in Cleveland. Right now, they've got the tight end, but they do not have any wide receivers that I super trust. At number 25, the Bears select linebacker out of Georgia, C.J. Allen. Allen, again, is going to be that blue chip guy. I think that's important to look at. People kind of dismiss the school that they go to a lot because of all the transfer portal stuff. But I think that is incredibly important to keep your eye on as we continue to look around the league, right? C.J. Allen is a fascinating talent to me. He is everywhere around the field when you go and watch him play. Allen is a guy that can step up in the pass game, can step up in the run game. He is just an alien, and they need some better linebacker play in Chicago. Fix that defense up a little bit. They were very turnover heavy. I would like them to just be a better defense overall when it comes to next season, because it's hard to determine your outlook on turnover luck. We saw how it happened to the Patriots, another team that really liked to rely on turnovers. At 26, this guy fell, I think, in my mind, Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. That is the 2-headed rushing duo of Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. The Bills select Mesidor at 26 in this draft. I would assume as a replacement probably to Joey Bosa. I'm not sure if he's going to re-sign there or not, but more pass rush never hurts. And again, he's just the best available right now. That offense, they could use a wide receiver, but again, I don't know if I really want to reach on a wide receiver right here. So you get the best available, a guy that I think for sure is going to be a hit. That is Akeem Mesidor. The 49ers address the offensive line issues. They get they get the guard out of Penn State, Olaviga Ione. Again, not a sexy pick. Doesn't have to be a sexy pick. There's a run on offensive line coming up because the Texans need offensive line bad. Monroe Freeling, the guy that I think is a better pass blocker. They don't really have a running back, so I'm not worried about the run blocking right now. I want C.J. Stroud to have time. I'm taking Monroe Freeling, which means the Rams, their replacement to a retiring tackle, Caleb Lomu out of Utah. Both tackles from Utah get taken in this draft. I really do like this pick for the Rams. They fixed that big issue. They already addressed the defense in the first half of the draft. Now they get Caleb Lomu in the second half. This is where we hit the reaches. This is where we highlight guys that I like a lot because the Broncos, let's be honest, they don't really have a lot of big needs. I'd like for them to get a wide receiver too, a big play guy. They feel like they have a couple of those guys, but Chris Bell is explosive. If you have watched any Louisville football games, Chris Bell and their running back, who is not in the draft, are the two explosive plays. Every time they touch the ball, magic seems to happen. Chris Bell is amazing. You go out there, you give him a slant, he'll turn it into an 80-yard touchdown a good amount of the times. That is a special player. Special players make special plays, and he goes to the Mile High City to work with Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. Chris Bell at number 30. The New England Patriots similarly need another wide receiver that they can rely on. They have a solid one seemingly in Kayshon Boutte. I'm a big fan of what he was able to do. But another guy that I think has maybe the most sure hands in this entire draft, Elijah Surratt. And maybe that's a little bit of a reach for a Indiana guy that maybe wasn't wide receiver one. I don't really understand why people won't be saying that. I know Omar Cooper Jr. had that amazing catch to win that Penn State game. But I think Elijah Surratt was the wide receiver one. He led the team in touchdowns. He was the seemingly go-to guy in the red zone. He's big. He can get up on those jump balls. And like I said, I don't think I've ever seen that man drop a pass in my entire life. I think this guy might have the most sure hands in the entire class. And I'm taking Elijah Surratt at number 31 to the Patriots. And at number 32, we finish where we started. Another Indiana guy. The Seattle Seahawks, after losing Riq Woolen to free agency, replace him with D'Angelo Ponds, one of the top corners in this class. This is an excellent move for them. I love Ponds. His ability to be a cover corner, his ability to be a ball hawk, which is what they're replacing. They're replacing one ball hawk with another, but I think Ponds is a guy that's going to be able to keep up with those wide receivers a little bit better, not get burned, be a little more focused on the field. I'm taking Ponds at number 32. So I'll run through the top 10 one more time for you guys. The Raiders select Fernando Mendoza at number 1. Caleb Downs goes 2 to the Jets. Ruben Bain, 3 to the Cardinals. The Titans at 4 select Jeremiah Love. At number 5, the Giants select Carnell Tate. The Browns at number 6 select David Bailey. The Commanders select Sonny Styles at number 7 out of Ohio State. Mekhi Lemon goes to the Saints at number 8. And number 9, Francis Muaga goes to the Chiefs. Before wrapping off the top 10, Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese to the Cincinnati Bengals. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this first round mock draft. Like I said, this one's not going to be perfect. We don't know quite yet where every team's head is at. We don't know what their team is going to look like after free agency, and I think that is the biggest key. We are guessing who they're going to sign, what they're going to target, what they're going to need the most, but this is Mock Draft 1.0. More to come as we continue our talk around the NFL, but we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we go over to Italy, around the world, as the Olympic sports are still going on. Some big medal wins already for the U.S. today. We'll go over them. We will talk about what is next for the U.S. and the rest of those Olympic athletes taking place today, where the medal count stands, and more. We'll be right back on the Triple Threat Show. back to the Triple Threat Show. I am your host, Jeremy Louise. Today is a beautiful Wednesday, February 18th. If you are just tuning in, we just finished going everything you need to know about our official Triple Threat Show mock draft 1.0. If you have thoughts about that, I'd love to hear them. Go ahead and throw it in the comments section here. We will go over that and much more in a later episode. I would love to hear what you have to say. But over these last 2 weeks, we have consistently ended our show, as always, with a little bit of an Olympic recap, a little bit of an Olympic update for you here as we hit the final couple of days of these Winter Olympics in Italy. The U.S. is currently gaining on the medal tally. We came into the day in third place, and we still sit in third place, but a couple of big wins today and yesterday have pushed us within one total medal of the Italians. And our big events, they are upcoming. We are guaranteed at least one more medal when we play Canada for the gold medal game in hockey. That will put us tied. But we still need to push for more because we are behind Norway. Right now, as the medal table stands, you look at total medals, Norway has 32, Italy has 25, the U.S. has 24 medals. Other countries trailing behind Sweden and the Netherlands, 14 and 13 respectively. The gold medal count still puts the U.S. in third. Again, they can still get to second place. Now, I am not going to put out there in the world that the U.S. can get to first place in gold medals, just because it does not seem very realistic with the way that the Norwegians have dominated this Winter Olympics. 15 golds for them, 9 for the Italians, and 7 gold medals for the United States of America. The U.S. goes out there. They are sitting in third place, bronze medal, guys. But clearly this Olympics, we have been the silver medal kings. 11 silver medals for the U.S., and that is where I expect us to end up at the end of the standings, the silver medal podium right behind Norway with the most golds, most medals, most silvers, second most medals. Similarly, Italy, 12 bronzes, most bronzes, third place. This is what I expect to see. I'm not an expert. I'm just seeing those trend lines kind of go the way that they go. Now, let's take a look at the events that have taken place today and will continue to take place today. In alpine skiing, congratulations to Mikaela Shiffrin from the United States getting gold medal on the women's slalom. She won both the first and second run, claiming another gold medal for her already decorated career. Now, she sits atop the mountain, literally. Now, Switzerland takes second, and Sweden takes third there, silver and bronze for those two countries. The women's biathlon is currently live. The U.S. team nowhere near the top. They're still in the first lap, but nowhere near the top. Right now, France, Norway, and Sweden in those top 3 spots. Cross-country skiing also has taken place today. The U.S. grabbing a silver medal in the men's team sprint, trailing behind Norway and ahead of the Italians. In cross-country skiing on the women's side, the U.S. did not finish top 3. They did finish in 5th place, with Sweden taking the gold, Switzerland taking the silver, and Germany taking home the bronze medal. The U.S. right in it until the end, only losing by 6 seconds. Norway even closer in 4th, falling to Germany by just, 0.14 seconds. That is how close that race was. A near photo finish for that bronze medal position. Outside of skiing, curling continues. The U.S. was swept by Great Britain today, 9-2 in the men's prelims. They are probably just about out at this point. They will continue their tournament later on. The women's team also losing to Great Britain 8-7. They might have a shot of moving on, but I do not feel great about the curling for the rest of the Olympics. I feel like the U.S. may have been eliminated. Freestyle skiing, after some postponements yesterday, we saw China take home gold and bronze, with Australia taking home the silver medal in the women's aerials. That is all of the events from skiing today, but ice hockey is where it takes center stage. The U.S., they take on Sweden. This is not a game to take lightly. Sweden has some really talented NHL players, headlined by they were, of course, one of the 4 nation teams, so that means that they have a lot of NHLers. This is a heavyweight bout. This is not an easy one. Slovakia took down Germany 6-2 in the quarterfinal earlier today. In about an hour, Canada will take on Czechia. I expect them to roll. Finland will take on Switzerland. I expect them to roll. But the U.S. taking on Sweden, that we are going to need a lot of help with. The U.S. is a great team, probably the second best team, but Sweden, third, maybe fourth best team in all of these nations. The U.S. takes on Sweden at 3:10. Short track, speed skating. Also today, they will start at about 2:15, and they will finish up with the medal rounds for the men's and women's at about 3 and 3:30 today. Keep an eye on the speed skaters. They have been able to claim a couple of medals for the U.S. Let's see if they can keep it going. The women's slopestyle is live right now for the final run. The U.S. currently sitting in 4th place. They have no more runs to go. Japan sitting in 1st. Canada taking up the other 2 medal spots right now. There's still a couple more runs if you want to check out some slopestyle for the women's side of things. The men's slopestyle, Jay Carter got a huge win, a bronze medal in the men's slopestyle, scoring a 79.36, trailing China and Japan. Those 2 teams absolutely dominated that run. But U.S. taking 3rd in that event, a big win for the men's slopestyle, adding another to the tally. Lots of events to look forward to: hockey, speed skating, and more as the Olympics look to wrap up on the 22nd. That's just 4 more days until the Olympics are done. Keep your eye on it because these games only happen every 4 years. We thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into today's episode of the Triple Threat Show. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. We will be back tomorrow covering all of the biggest news from around the world of sports. I cannot wait to see you then. As always, if you want to see us elsewhere, follow us on YouTube at Triple Threat Show, on Twitch at 3 Threat Show, Instagram at 3 Threat Show _ and TikTok at the _ Triple Threat Show. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.